Hello gamers, and welcome back to another episode of Video Game Hunting. This video is going to be on my trip out to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo 2015, and if you don't have a chance to get out there and see what that show was all about for yourself, you're in luck because I have some crudely shot video of the event just for you guys. So yeah, anyway, me and my buddy, Video Game Experiment, as he goes by on YouTube, we decided he was going out to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, and I decided to tag along. Anyway, it's about like a 22-hour drive from where we live, which is just kind of insane. But the plan was to go out there and make a road trip of it, Gabe hunt along the way, and it was pretty awesome. I'm not going to lie, we saw some very interesting things, and we stopped at a lot of small town joints along the way and got some pretty good deals. So to start this off, we're going to start off with just things I picked up along the way. So, first stop was Bozeman, Montana. Target, the first morning out. We left on a Wednesday, so it was Thursday morning. I got 2 Splatoon squirt guns. Had them on clearance for like $1.80, I think. And then I also picked up a wired PS3 controller now. And then going on from there, we had a bunch of pawn shops in that area in Montana. So next pawn shop, I'm not going to remember the names of all these guys, sorry, but I paid $5 for everything you're going to see here. That is Real Wild Fishing for the Dreamcast, Top Players Tennis for the NES, and Jeopardy Sports Edition for the Super Nintendo. And I know you're probably thinking, why did I pick that up? Well, I had another game I was going to pick up. It was going to be Nigel Manson's Racing on the Super Nintendo, and I love that game. Rented it all the time as a kid, but when I went to bring it to the counter, I didn't see a sticker on this thing. So So I assumed it would be like $1 or $2, and it was no, $18. She flipped it over and pointed out this little tiny sticker. $18 they wanted for Nigel Manson's Racing, which is like a $3 game at best. So I promptly said hell no. Went and found the next $2 game, which happened to be Jeopardy, Sports Edition. And then the running joke kind of throughout the rest of the trip was anytime you saw Nigel Manson's for $4 or less, which you do everywhere, was wow, that's a great deal because it's, you know, well under the $18 value that it goes for. So screw that pawn shop and screw Nigel Manson's for $18 anyway. Great game if you can find it for the right price, which is under $3. I'm telling you right now. So on from there, the next pawn shop in that area I think we hit up. I'm gonna try to remember these in order. I paid $12 for all of this, and I got a really sweet Acclaim Power Player wireless remote control for the NES. It's got a little wireless adapter on the back there. Very cool. I've never come across one like that. I picked up Global Gladiators for the Sega Genesis. I traded off my complete copy a while back. Wanted to pick it back up. Tasmania by Sunsoft for the Super Nintendo. And Wii Ski for the Wii. I used the balance board. I've wanted to try it out, so now I can. And then next up, last stop, I think in the Bozeman area, if I remember correctly. I want to say I paid $25 for all of this. And I think I paid too much. It was called like Snow Day Video and Games. This is a local video game store that we waited around to check out. They had a great display in the front, a lot of box systems. And we walked in and everything was unmarked. Nothing was priced. It was cluttered. It was messy. So you kind of knew straight away that they were going to be looking up everything as you bought it, and that was the case, and everything was very overpriced. But I still walked away with a few games. There was a lot more that I would have liked, especially after having to dig through the store and pull this stuff out of boxes. The guy should have given us a little better deal because he wasn't displaying it properly. To be honest, that store was a nightmare. But I did walk out with a few games. So for $25, I got Club Drive for the Jaguar, Soul Fighter on the Dreamcast, awesome game here, Hydro Thunder on the Dreamcast, and one last Dreamcast title, Expendable. And then I think that ended it for that day's... No, that's not true. That's not the end of that day's pickups. Further into Montana, at there's this chain called like Mountain Man Pawn and Loan or something like that. There were a bunch of them throughout the state, and they all had pretty good deals. I think some of the stuff I picked up already that I've shown you was from one of them. But this was another one we stopped at, and this is a place that had like flat prices on all games. So by system, which usually just means that everything's going to be picked over and the only thing that's going to be left is garbage. Except we ended up stumbling across some good stuff here. So for $10, I picked up this stack of games. Space Invaders for the Game Boy. Bonkers for the Sega Genesis. Now I picked this up, I don't know anything about it, but I used to love Bonkers, the cartoon when I was a kid, after school cartoon, just great stuff. Swords and Serpents for the Nintendo. Shadowgate for the Nintendo. And probably my favorite pickup, at least for what I paid on this entire trip, Contra. For So if you break down $2 I paid for Contra, which is crazy for what this game goes for anymore. Not that it should, because everyone had it, and you can find it anywhere, but demand has driven the price up on that. And my buddy, Video Game Experiment, found like Super C was also there, and he grabbed that for a couple bucks also, which is just incredible. And then moving on from there, this was further into the drive. We got to like Washington. I cannot remember the name of this video game store, but picked up everything here. I want to say it was like $50. Some of the stuff I picked up I already traded off, and I'll explain that in a minute here. For the Neo Geo Pocket Color Pac-Man, which is an arcade-perfect port of Pac-Man for the Neo Geo Pocket Color. It's amazing that they could lock down Pac-Man and perfect it in like 1999, many years after Pac-Man came out. So congrats to Neo Geo Color for securing an arcade-perfect port of a game that came out 20 years prior. That's just incredible that the technology could handle that. It is good. What a waste of a cart, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Neo Geo Turf Masters golfing game. Been playing that. I played through like 18 holes. It's pretty fun. I mean, it's not gonna be something I'm gonna come back to a lot, but it's a good game. And then Metal Slug First Mission, which I haven't had a whole lot of time to play, but it seems pretty good to start. I also picked up for the NES Exodus. And I actually have this on the Game Boy and I like it a lot. So I was happy to find it for the NES. And then this is, with a really poorly damaged label, Thunderbirds for the NES. Now I got this in a bag. They had grab bags of various systems. They were like 3 games for $5. This was an NES grab bag, 3 games for $5, and I got another one also for an additional $5. So I got 6 games total for $10. This is the only one I kept. I traded the rest of them off either at the show or to another YouTuber, a guy on YouTube that I was meeting at the Portland Expo. This is the only one I kept. I didn't have it, so even with a bad label, I figured I'd hang on to it. One of my favorite Dreamcast games, because it reminds me the most of my favorite game in the Cool Borders series, Cool Borders 2, and that is Rippin' Riders. And it is actually produced by UEP Systems, which did the last Cool Borders 2 game. I think they did the first one too, but Cool Borders 2 was the last one they touched. After that was when the series got kind of weird for me. And then another game that I used to really love is Ridge Racer 4, R-Type 4. Great game, not very expensive, but it's a very solid racer. I spent a lot of time on this as a kid. And then further into like the Washington area, I can't remember if I got these in Montana or Washington, to be honest. But at a retro game store, I picked up Super Dodgeball for the Game Boy Advance. I think I paid way too much for this. It was like $9. Not sure why. Just felt like I had to buy something. It was a really cool store. And then for $2, Sonic the Hedgehog and not for resale version. I do have the case and manual for this, so this completes it. And for $2, really, you can't go wrong. So that's everything I picked up on the way. Actually, one more thing. It's on the way back, but I'm going to throw it in with on the way because this is the only thing I bought on the way back. A Game Boy Advance to GameCube, a link cable. I got that at the same place that they tried to sell me Nigel Manson's Racing for $18. I think that was $2 though, which was appropriately priced. Anyway, let's see what we picked up at the show now. Okay, now on to the expo itself, which was amazing, of course. I've been to the Midwest Gaming Classic, which is similar. Obviously, the Portland Retro Gaming Expo is a lot larger. There's a lot more panels and larger YouTubers there, and just people from the industry giving speeches, like Howard Scott Warshaw, an early Atari programmer. He did E.T., which of course is infamous at this point, and a lot of other great things, not just E.T. So it was really awesome. There's a lot to see, and as you can expect with any of these conventions, prices are going to be where you'd expect. You get deals usually the last day as certain sellers are clearing things out. So my goal, as always with these, is to just get games for systems that I wouldn't find out in the wild, and that's kind of what I focused on here at the Portland show. Now, first up, I had done a trade. I was meeting up with someone through YouTube here, a subscriber, Scott was his name, and we got the chance to meet up with him and trade for some games that he had seen me pick up on the 25-cent sale. So I'll go through what we ended up trading and what I got out of the deal. I can't remember the games. It was like 4 or 5 games I traded him. But I ended up getting from him Golf for the Game Boy, a copy of Diddy Kong Racing for the N64, for the Xbox, NCAA Football 2005 with Top Spin, Mario Super Sluggers, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. This is a complete copy. I do have a disc-only copy. I actually really like this game. I know it gets a lot of flack, but I find it kind of fun. Then this is kind of cool. I think he said he got this through like a loot crate or something. And it's a Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time manga. Gonna have to check that one out. It looks pretty neat. And then on from there, just getting into random things I picked up from the show. I'll try to remember prices as best I can. First up, this is kind of a cool one. A couple games I got from Ian, of Pat and Ian from the CU, Completely Unnecessary Podcast from Pat the NES Punk's channel. He puts the podcast up there in segments also. But for $5 from him, I picked up a couple NES games. Deadly Towers and Palamedes, which is in rough shape, but it's not a game you see a lot, so I thought I'd grab it. I think this would have been $11 total for these 3 games. Dragon Spirit for the NES. Soccer, an early black box title that I didn't have, and then Xevious. A really cool find, and I can't remember what order I found these in, to be honest, guys, but I'm going to go through them. That I found, I think, the last day, maybe the first day, I'm not sure. Anyway, it's a complete shrink-wrapped, sealed copy of Taboo, The Sixth Sense for the NES. Not a very fun game, honestly. I'm not a big sealed collector, but if I was going to have any game sealed, it'd be this one, because I'd never want to play it. I do have it loose, it's pretty awful, but I got this for $5. And I thought that was just awesome. So can't go wrong with a sealed piece of video game history from like the early 80s. And I got some 3DO games here. These are all, I think I got these all for 20 bucks. This one's the Gunslinger collection. It comes with Mad Dog McCree, Mad Dog McCree 2, and then Crime Patrol, all light gun games. The box is a little screwy, but hopefully I can fix that a little bit. This one looks like an absolute gem. Space Pirates, an FMV-based game on the 3DO. These are notoriously awful usually, so I can't wait to get in and see that. And then just a full boxed copy, individual release of Mad Dog McCree. So that's cool. It was nice to add some 3DO games to the collection. And I found this, I believe, for $5. It's Fall of the Foot Clan for the original Game Boy. I also picked up a copy of Marco for the Genesis, which this is another one I traded off and wanted to get back. I believe I traded on one of those grab bag NES games. I traded Wheel of Fortune, believe it or not, for Marco, which I definitely got the better end of the deal on that. No questions about it. I don't know how much I paid for these two. I bought them from the same seller, though. Mostly just filler NES titles. You know, the go-to games there are overpriced as far as I'm concerned, so I just buy filler on the NES stuff. Things I don't normally see. So I got Videomation, and this one's going to be fantastic. I can't wait to pop it in and play it. Fisher-Price Perfect Fit. Looking forward to that one. And then a game that I've always loved and never had on the Dreamcast, Resident Evil Code Veronica. Got that for $5. And some TurboGrafx games I'm always after. Now, this first game I had gotten to play, I'd never played before. You always hear great things about it, like it's one of the must-have games. Never gotten a chance to play it, and they had it for on display, like on the show floor. You could play it on one of the systems. That is Blazing Lasers, and everything that people talk about this game, how amazing it is absolutely true. After playing it, I knew I had to pick it up, and I found it at the show. Ended up getting it for $30. JJ and Jeff. And World Class Baseball, and I got those last two for $20 together. Another sealed game, can you believe it? And this time for an incredibly amazing system, one that I'm sure you're all just blown away by, that I own because it's so incredibly rare and amazing, and that I got a sealed game for it. It is 21 Zap, or Zap 21, I'm not sure, for the Game Wave. Completely sealed. Can you believe this? What a treasure. $2. I don't know why I keep finding those damn Game Wave games. They're terrible, but it's like a sickness for me. I have to pick them up. So, on to the last stack of games from the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. These all came from one seller. I think all in all I've been to this for like $30. This guy had a bunch of Jaguar stuff, and I ended up passing a lot of it the first day. Second day, got it all really cheap. But we'll start off with a couple Famicom games. I'm pretty sure these are like pirated games from China or something. But for the Famicom, Tom and Jerry. And then Terminator 2, which is hilarious because it's got the Predator on the cover art. Doesn't really make a lot of sense. Which also leads me to believe that those are pirated copies of games or carts for the Famicom. So for the Jaguar, I got a nice stack of games here. I almost doubled my collection. Brutal Sports Football. Doom, which is probably going to be the best game I've got in the Jaguar now. I've heard this one's just god-awful, but it was cheap. White Men Can't Jump. Ultra Vortec, and I believe this one's a fighting game. And then this is a game I already had, but I actually got this complete in box, which I've never even seen a box Jaguar game up until this show. And that is Evolution Dino Dudes. Sort of a Lemmings type game. And yeah, that's it, guys. That completes my haul from the Portland Retro Gaming Expo.
Wait! There's more!
Alright, guys, so as I was editing this, I realized that I overlooked one awesome find from Portland Retro Gaming Expo that I picked up. And I just wanted to get this in here quick because I think it's amazing. And it is the Wonder Swan. And this is a Japanese exclusive handheld, never came to the States. Was produced or developed by the same guy, Gunpei Yokoi, who is behind the Game Boy line at Nintendo. He created this after departing Nintendo, and actually was tragically killed. He was hit by a car before this actually officially released. But it's a very neat little handheld, very compact, as you can see, black and white. There is a color version, and this thing was competing out against the Game Boy Color at the time. and the Neo Geo Pocket Color to give you kind of a time frame of when this was released. Then I found one game for it, and that is Buffer's Evolution. Got a complete in-box. Interesting game, and it's actually playable if you don't know Japanese, which is great because there aren't a lot of games on the WonderSwan that are very English friendly. But I got both of those together for $18, which to own a really kind of bizarre handheld that I've always been interested in and rarely see was great. So yeah, that's the last little find, and honestly, probably one of my favorite things that I picked up over the entire course of the weekend. So I just thought I'd get that in there. It was excellent. Had a great time going out there and getting away, and just enjoying all the retro goodness and the panels and everything. If I do go back, I think I will probably fly next year. I don't know about the road trip. It was fun, but it was brutal. It's a lot of hours on the road. But if you managed to hang in there and watch all this, as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you all next time.